Hello everyone and welcome. So glad you could join us for another science lesson. We're going to break down a really important topic for you today.
Ayubowan students, a very warm welcome to all of you from Study Hub Sri Lanka. Today, we're diving right into your grade 11 science textbook, starting from the very beginning with Chapter 1, Living Tissues.
Okay, so before we jump into all the different kinds of tissues, let's start with the big question, right? What exactly are tissues? You can think of them as the fundamental building blocks that make up every living thing, from a tiny little plant to, well, to us.
All right, let's get the official definition down. A tissue is a group of cells. But listen, it's not just a random bunch of cells. The key things to remember are that they all come from the same place, a common origin, and they've all been changed or modified to do one very specific job. It's like a team of experts, you know. Everyone on the team has the same goal and works together to get it done.
Now, in the world of living things, we're going to focus on two huge categories, plants and animals. And as you can imagine, their tissues are built for totally different ways of life. Plant tissues, they're all about growing, staying upright, and making their own food. Animal tissues, on the other hand, are geared towards things like moving around, coordinating everything, and protecting the body. So, we'll be looking at both of these big groups today.
Let's start with the plants. And the first thing we need to understand is how they grow. This is all thanks to a special group of tissues that we call the meristematic tissues. These are the growers.
Have you ever stopped to think about this? It's pretty amazing. Unlike most animals, a plant can just keep on growing taller and wider its entire life. So how on earth is that possible? Well, the secret is in these special tissues.
And here is that secret. Meristematic tissues. The best way to think about them is as the plant's little growth factories. The cells in these areas are always dividing. They're a process you know as mitosis, and they're just pumping out new cells. And what's really important is that these new cells are not specialized yet. They're like blank slates, ready to be told what to do and what part of the plant to become.
So where are these growth factories located? Well, they're in very specific places. You have the apical meristems, right at the tips of the shoots and the roots. These are responsible for making the plant taller, and the roots go deeper. Then you have lateral meristems on the sides of the stem, which make the plant thicker, increasing its girth. And finally, in plants like grasses, you find intercalary meristems at the nodes. This is exactly why the grass in your garden grows back so fast after it's been cut. Okay, so what happens after the meristems create all these new cells? Well, those cells grow up, they mature, and they get assigned a specific job. Once they have a job, they usually stop dividing, and these specialized tissues are what we call permanent tissues.
Among the simple tissues, the first one is parenchyma. You can think of this as the main filler tissue in a plant. It's actually the most common type of tissue you'll find. Its cells are alive, and they have nice thin walls. This makes them perfect for all sorts of jobs, like doing photosynthesis in the leaves or storing food and water, just like in a potato.
Next up, we have cholenchyma. Now, these cells are also alive, but look closely. Their corners are extra thick, and that's the key. That structure provides flexible support. It allows young stems and leaves to bend and sway in the wind without just snapping in half. It's kind of like a flexible skeleton for the young parts of the plant. And for the really tough, rigid support, plants use sclerenchyma. Now this is fascinating. These cells are actually dead when they're mature. And why is that? Because their only job is to be strong. Their cell walls get super thick and are hardened with a substance called lignin, which is basically wood. This provides incredible strength. You find this tissue in things like coconut fibers or even in the gritty texture of a pear fruit.
All right, now let's look at the complex tissues. We call them complex because they're made of more than one type of cell, all working together. Think of these as the plant's plumbing system. You have xylem, which transports water and minerals up from the roots. It's a one-way street, going up.
And you have phloem, which transports food, like sugars made in the leaves, to all other parts of the plant. As you can see from this table, they're very different. This comparison is really important, so make sure you understand it well.
Okay, we've had a good look at plants. Now let's switch gears completely and talk about the tissues that make up animals, including us. We'll start with the tissues that build our bodies and protect them.
First up is epithelial tissue. The easiest way to think about this is as the body's lining and covering tissue. It's your skin on the outside, but it also lines all your internal organs and cavities. The cells are packed together really tightly to form a barrier. But it's not just for protection. It does so much more. It helps absorb nutrients in your intestines, it secretes hormones, and it even filters waste in your kidneys. Very versatile.
Next, we have connective tissue. And just like the name says, its main job is to connect, support, and bind other tissues together. The defining feature is that its cells are kind of scattered around in a non-living substance called a matrix. Now, here's a great example that might surprise you. Blood. Yes, blood is a type of connective tissue. The fluid part, the plasma, is the matrix, and the red cells, white cells, and platelets are just floating in it, connecting the entire body.
Okay, so we've talked about building and protecting. Now let's get to the tissues that make us active, the ones that let us move, and the ones that send all the important messages around our body.
Muscle tissue is all about creating movement, and there are 3 types you absolutely need to know. Skeletal muscle is attached to your bones, and it's voluntary. You decide to move it. Smooth muscle is found in the walls of your internal organs, like your stomach, and it's involuntary. You don't control it. And finally, cardiac muscle is found only in the heart. It's also involuntary, and the amazing thing about it is that it is designed to never, ever get tired.
And last but not least, we have nervous tissue. This is the body's super-fast communication network. It's like the wiring system. The main cell is called a neuron, and it's perfectly built for its job. It has dendrites that receive signals, a cell body to process them, and a long axon to send the signal on to the next cell. This is how your brain can tell your foot to move in a fraction of a second.
Whew, okay, that was a lot of information I know, but you've done an excellent job keeping up. Let's just quickly run through the most important points one last time to help it all stick in your mind.
So let's recap. Tissues are groups of cells specialized for one job. In plants, we have meristematic tissues for growth and permanent tissues that have a specific function. The permanent ones can be simple, like parenchyma, or complex, like the transport tissues, xylem and phloem. In animals, we have our 4 main types: epithelial for covering, connective for support, muscle for movement, and nervous for communication. And the most important idea of all is that for every single tissue, its structure is perfectly designed for the function it has to perform.
And that is a wrap on Chapter 1. Thank you all so much for your attention and for joining me for this lesson. We will meet again very soon with the next chapter of your science subject. Until then, please make sure you subscribe to Study Hub Sri Lanka and don't forget to click that bell icon so you get an update as soon as our next explainer is ready. Keep up the good work and we'll see you next time.